once you start recognizing now everything as self-worth, then you're not just fixing one problem, you're fixing everything. So if someone is struggling with, say, money, and tell them how to kind of fix that and see themselves as worthy of it, they'll start doing that in every aspect of their life. So I think it's the root of everything. So I bring it down to self-worth, and then we have like different tools and conversations and change of perspectives and how you can look, like I told you. So for 2 years I used to work in India. I used to be so tired because my workplace was
Yes,
like an hour and a half away. तो मेरे 3 घंटे तो
yes,
उसी
I
में
know.
लग जाते हैं, right? Which is not the case in the US. आपका in Seattle, and at least in Seattle and New York, and I can just speak for these two. You have good public transport. You can just take a subway, or you can, like, you people just end up like buying a car and driving. इतनी traffic नहीं होती है, right? So that
Yeah.
time वो बच जाता है जो हम 4 घंटे दिन के वेस्ट करते हैं अपने ट्रैवल पे, and that exhaustion that adds to it, that's saved. So you are less tired, and therefore have more energy to indulge in things, right? So that's one. Yeah, the power is in your hands. Stop giving other people power. Like it's as simple as that. हमने बहुत ज़्यादा externalize कर लिया है. हमने बहुत ज़्यादा, even the thing, right, that we try to work hard too much. We are not doing it for ourselves. We are doing it for others because we've given the ability to validate us. Like we've given that power to others that they will validate कि हाँ ये कितना अच्छा ज़्यादा काम कर रहा है. So I'm not in the hustle culture at all. But then थोड़े थोड़े टाइम के बाद ना, sometime in the beginning it's a little tough. Then you start having fun. And when you start standing up for yourself, I'm telling you, it's beautiful. When you start standing up for yourself, and you feel so proud of yourself. मजा आने लगता है.
Yeah.
You just start liking yourself so much because you're doing things for yourself because it gives you happiness. Starting with difficult होता है because you've not done it for like 30 odd years, or I don't know how many years.
Hey folks, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. My name is Saurabh Pol. Welcome to Pol Ke Bol. Today we have a very special guest with us, Aakriti Sharma. Aakriti is a life coach with a special focus on self-worth. Aakriti is a childhood friend of mine. We went to the same school together. And somehow recently we met again, and it was a very interesting conversation. And I think is a very unique individual in the sense of what she's doing as of now and her journey so far. But I won't explain too much about it because, Akriti, I'll leave the floor open for you to talk about who you are, what do you do, and what's up in general.
Thanks, Saurabh. So, like you said, I'm a life coach and I focus mostly on self-worth, but that's not how my professional journey started. I actually am an engineer by education, and I have worked in the tech, tech data analyst space for 7 years. And then I just realized that that's not something that I'm actually interested in. And I took a break, and I figured out that my calling is more on the space of life coaching. And so I switched, and now we're here.
Wow. So how does one go from that to life coaching? Because usually people, I'll tell you what, right? Most people they're like startup karenge, because they don't like what they are doing, which is completely fine,
Correct.
right? There used to be a
Yeah.
time when not liking what you're doing was considered a luxury belief or something which is like, oh my God, this person has no aim or something of that sort. And because
Yeah.
it is completely the right decision with something which you don't like because and or don't want. I'll tell you why. Because I once had a manager, okay, big guy. He told me, listen, man, if you hate the job, absolutely hate it, like 15 years ago, you'll not be able to continue at that point. So if you want to quit, quit now. Don't quit later because then your life will be too complicated to do anything else. I mean, I kind of get where you're coming from, and but then why this field? Like this is the question I wanted to ask.
So, people have asked me this question, and I often say that I didn't choose life coaching. Life coaching chose me. It's because when I was going through this phase of like not sure of what I want to do in life, and I was also going through some mental health stuff. I was experiencing anxiety, a little bit of like seasonal depression, questioning my likes, my dislikes, not liking the environment that I was in, and then I went in on this like journey of self discovery, and I got a lot of answers. And the biggest answer that I got was that I don't want to like work in tech. I don't want to sit in front of a laptop. I don't want to sit work in a corporate job. And so I quit, and then I traveled for a bit. And in that, during that while I was traveling, I met some people and I shared my experiences with them. I realized we all are going through the same stuff. Like all the people I was talking to, they were frustrated. They had some personal issues. They were also experiencing anxiety on different levels. And I was telling them about what worked for me, how I now see life. And they said that that my conversations or the tools that I was sharing with them, it really helped. And they actually, these wonderful people I met throughout my travel journeys, told me that maybe this is a good place for me to kind of start and look at this as a profession. So that's how I got into it. I didn't quit my job thinking that I'm going to be a life coach. I was just like, I'm not doing this. And I'll figure out what is it that I want to do. And it just so happened that this fell into place.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
incredible because if so added context, like you were in the US, right?
I
And
was. Yes.
that is usually on paper key dream. Are
Yeah, yeah.
foreign में भी US गए, अमेरिका में tech का job कर रहे हैं. Like what
Yeah,
else, right?
yeah.
Like on Instagram, everyone is in a national park, someone's driving a Mustang, and that's amazing. That's because I mean
Yeah,
half
yeah.
our batch is in the US or in North America for that matter. Like
Yes.
जो बचे कुछ है, then they are in Western Europe or one or two are in the Middle East. So I get what everyone wants to go abroad, do those fancy jobs, but you
Yeah.
are like, boss, no, And you
Yeah,
mentioned
yeah.
about seasonal depression and so on and so forth. And I was like, यार इनको भी वहां पे हो रहा है, मुझे भी यहाँ पे हो रहा है because I was doing the same thing in rupees what you were in doing in dollars, like same
Correct.
suffering in India basically, like sitting in
Correct.
office what is going on, why am I doing this? And
Yeah.
fortunately I also went through a phase which you went through, right? Questioning your likes and dislikes, not knowing what to do, what not to do. And I fortunately my conclusion wasn't okay, let's quit our job because I don't know if I have any other skills. So I kind of realigned I realigned my thinking. Okay, let me go into another function within my domain and so on and so forth. So that was my solution, right? So and because of this, one of my like friends told me like, you make work your identity. I'm one of those people. I used to be.
Mhm.
I used to make
Mhm.
work my identity, and just quitting it and doing something else just never crossed my mind. And I think this is very closely linked to self-worth, which is what
It
you
is.
specialize in, right? And
Yes.
if anything went bad, I would lose my mind. Like my entire day would go bad, and I would ensure everyone around me knew it. कि मेरा दिन खराब गया अभी तेरा भी दिन खराब करेगा. So my family was like, "Oh my god, this guy's here." So I was not the best guy to be around if I had a bad day at work, right? Typical.
Okay.
But I wanted your thoughts. Is this a common thing in our generation? How to avoid it? What are the downsides of it?
How to avoid not spreading like your frustration? Is that the question?
No, the question is like how not to attach your identity to your work, because I think that is something which is something which is advised in a lot of ways to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah,
work defines you and all of that.
yeah. I'll tell you this one thing that I do. So the 1 year, actually almost 2 years that I was not working and I was traveling, right? So whenever I would meet someone, the first question would be, "Hi, what's your name and what do you do?" And when I didn't know what I was doing, I didn't want to tell them what I had done because I was moving away from that conversation. I didn't want to tell them my story. Also, I think the moment I would tell people that I worked in the US or I worked in tech, they would like put me in a box, and I was like, "मुझे ये नहीं करना है. I just want to like meet people and have like authentic interactions." And I realized that the first question people ask is, "So what do you do?" And I started to move away from it. In fact, I don't tell people. I'm like, "We'll get to that. It'll come as part of the conversation, if at all. But like let ask me something else. Like, so I ask people, so what do
Yeah.
you do for fun?" Mostly people don't even have an answer to that because they don't do things for fun. So I've really started to change the question, and I'm like, what do you do for fun? What is something that you like watched something or read something recently that was very interesting? Give me your recommendations. I'm consciously just trying to change the conversation because we're just not our jobs. I know that throughout our lives we've been told that padhai karo, job karo, and that's it, and that's the end goal. But that's not it. You're so much more than your job. You're like Saurabh, you're my friend. You're not just a job, right? And your job, whatever. In fact, I don't even know what your title is, right? I don't care. I care about the conversations we have, or I care about
Yeah.
the friend that you're so much more than just your job. And when we start
Yeah.
identifying that, and we start looking at ourselves as a whole person with interests and likes and relationships and what we offer the world just apart from your job, I think we can see ourselves as a whole individual. And that's what I'm hoping to do through these coaching sessions, that you are not your job. And but for that, what we need to do is just step back a little bit, थोड़ा सा step back and start identifying what is it that I won't even say what is it that defines us, because I don't think anything needs to define us. Just like, who is it that, like, who is Akriti? Um,
Yeah.
if I remove my job from the title, if I remove my job from the equation, who am I? Because I am a lot of other things, right? Start focusing on those things. हम उस path में नहीं जाते हैं. We don't go in
Yeah.
on that journey of who am I. It's scary, it's daunting, it's exhausting, especially after at the end of your workday. You don't want to sit and have these heavy thoughts. You just want to like scroll and get away from it. I know it's tough, but it's important. It's important to understand that you are a whole person, because you're more than your job. And it just happened for me because I disliked it. I tried avoid I'm not trying to I'm trying to avoid the word hate, but I really disliked my job so much that I'm like, okay, if not this, then who am I? And I had the privilege
Yeah.
to take that break, and I had the privilege to like quit my job and move home and travel. And I have great supportive parents. I didn't have any of those responsibilities. I had the US India exchange ratio in my favor. So all of that worked for me. And I had and I went through that journey of figuring out who am I without that job. And I realized
Yeah.
that I'm a lot more. And I want people to start kind of focusing on that you're a lot more than your job. So next time you enter a room, like, don't ask anyone like, hi, what is your name and what do you do? Ask them a lot more about them and connect on those lines. I think the other thing is also, now the moment I ask you what you do and you tell me, I'm going to put you in a box. I'm going to put you
Yeah.
in like like you're an engineer. Okay, so this is how you are, and this is what your interests are, and this is how much money you earn, and these are, yeah, people are a lot more than that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think one way to start figuring out, not just helping yourself but helping others, is start asking interesting questions about people. So that maybe if I ask you what you do for fun and you don't have an answer now, maybe you will go back home and be like, I don't know what I do for fun, but maybe it's something I should figure out.
Is that most people don't know what they like to do, because I'm someone who always likes to have fun. So I'm like, हाँ मेरे को पता है मेरे को क्या पसंद है, मतलब मेरे को बड़बड़ करने
Uh-huh.
का पसंद है, तो मैं अपना पॉडकास्ट करेगा, ठीक है, मोनोलॉग करेगा,
Hmm.
पॉडकास्ट करेगा. That is one part of my life which I really like, having these amazing
Correct.
conversations. Then there is like,
Hmm.
I love video games. That is one part of my life I haven't left. Like since I was a
Mm-hmm.
kid, since I first
Mm-hmm.
played some motocross game when I was 7, 8 years old, I've stuck to it. Even today,
Huh.
I'll go out there once a month, एक game खरीदेगा, कुछ खेलता रहेगा मैं. Now, obviously, you don't have to get addicted to it, but that's a part of your life which you love for fun. So, as I
Huh.
was saying, like I like to do all these things, right, so that I don't forget who I really am, because otherwise, your LinkedIn takes over, your Slack takes over, your Gmail takes over, right? And you
Yeah.
are correct, like it puts you in a box, right? And I ask my many friends of mine, "तू क्या करता है मजे के लिए?" वो दारू
Huh.
छोड़
Huh.
के आधे लोगों का कुछ है नहीं, which is
Yeah.
very depressing. Like, most people are, I don't know, man. I'm just sitting, I'm watching some TV. Watching,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
being a Netflix watcher is not a definition, right? Of
Not a
like, okay,
hobby.
maybe not a hobby. You can do it for like
Yeah.
half an hour. Uske upar kya hai? What is it that I don't know? Maybe I
Hmm.
judge people a bit too much. But is it
Hmm.
cultural then? Because Akriti, you have a perspective. You grew up in India. You
Hmm.
went to the US to study as well as work, right? You saw
Yeah.
academics in India. You saw academics in the US. You saw work in India and work in US. Is that a cultural issue where even in the US they are like, what do you do? Huh? And then they start everything. Do they do that then?
Oh, that's interesting. Um, no, actually, there is a lot of focus on things beyond work. There are people indulge in hobbies there. There are a lot of activities that people do. Um, so I was in New York and I was in Seattle, and I think one thing is also because of seasons. So जब बहुत ठंड होती है ना, तो घर पे रहते हैं लोग. So when the summer comes ना, they want to go out. So they want to do activities. And summer is not as bad as it is in Mumbai. I was in Seattle. Seattle's summers are just beautiful, and people would just like go kayaking on the lake, or they would have picnics, or they would just go for a swim or hikes. Hiking बहुत famous है. I think there's a lot of space and a lot of opportunities, and people do indulge in things beyond just work and beyond just drinking. Um, What are the reasons for it? I think when I'm thinking back about the 2 years that I was working in India, maybe kuch nahi karti thi. So for 2 years, I used to work in India. I used to be so tired because my workplace was
Yes,
like an hour and a half away. तो मेरे 3 घंटे तो
yes,
उसी
I
में
know.
लग जाते हैं, right? Which is not the case in the US. आपका in Seattle and at least in Seattle and New York, and I can just speak for these two. You have good public transport. You can just take a subway, or you can like you people just end up like buying a car and driving. इतनी traffic नहीं होती है, right? So that
Yeah,
time वो बच जाता है जो हम 4 घंटे दिन के वेस्ट करते हैं अपने ट्रैवल पे एंड दैट एग्जॉशन दैट एड्स टू इट that's saved. So you are less tired and therefore have more energy to indulge in things, right? So that's one. There are better there's better infrastructure for things to do. अब आप मैं यहाँ पे किसी भी लेक में नहीं जंप करने वाली वहाँ पे इतने साफ होते हैं इतने साफ होते हैं then you can jump. And this is not me bitching about India. I love India and there's so much beauty in India and I can like go on and on about it, but facts are facts. वहाँ पे हाइक कर सकते हो आप, वेरी ब्यूटीफुल ट्रेल्स फॉर हाइकिंग, वेल मेंटेन्ड. Then again, like I said, public transport. Their infrastructure is good. You can't deny it. So there are those places where you can actually explore and you have that time and that energy to indulge. जो इंडिया में नहीं है, unfortunately.
which is true. I completely
Yeah,
get where you're coming from because, funnily enough, the last time we met, 14 years ago, like this is before we met recently, right? Which was like
yeah, yeah.
14 years ago. So I don't know how many years ago it was. It was
No,
like, yeah,
no,
it was
14
something
से
like
ज़्यादा.
10,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
12 years
Let's
ago,
not
I'm
tell
sure.
people how old we are.
I know, right? Yeah. So at that time when we met at a railway station. That's how people in Bombay meet, right? They meet at railway stations. That's that's exactly how we meet. And I remember looking at you. You were coming back from work. I was coming back from work, and we were like, "Hey, hi, what's up?" And I was like, "Why is Aakriti at this station? She shouldn't be here. I'm feeling bad for her." And then he's like, I was like,
Oh
"मेरा
God.
office इधर है, कितना दूर है." And you were like, "My office is even further ahead."
Yeah,
My
yeah, yeah.
God.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right because I'll give you two examples, right? I remember another batchmate of ours who I won't name because it was a personal conversation. I was
Mm-hmm.
speaking with her. I'm like, hey, how are you doing all these things? Like ये कितना कितना नया नया चीज करी, and she got into hobbies and things like that. I was like, how are you
Yeah.
doing this? She's like, listen,
Mm.
after 4 p.m. there's nothing to do over here. Okay, I mean my
But this
work is
friend was
also done.
somewhere outside.
US. She was
Okay,
also in
okay,
the
okay.
US. She's not batchmate.
Okay,
She was
okay.
in the US, and she was
Okay.
like, "Bro, there's nothing to do over here after 4 p.m. Okay, after
Yeah.
4:30, I have a good job. I earn well.
Yeah.
I'm fine with
Mm.
whatever's happening. But after 4:30 p.m., there's nothing. Everyone
Mm.
goes home, and we do a bit of housework because that you don't have help over
Help.
there. So
Yeah.
yeah, that is उसमें कितना करोगे कर करके मतलब वो हो जाता है
Uh-huh.
like we don't know what to do. So she's like,
Mm-hmm.
I got into all these hobbies. I got into dancing. I got into like she got into modeling. Can you believe it? She got into
Wow.
modeling. I'll tell you offline. But
Yeah, yeah.
but
I
the
want to
point
know.
is कि, yeah, the point is कि, bro, what like ये क्या मतलब you were a first bencher just like 5 years ago. We were in the same class. You hated me for being the last bencher. Today we are chatting like normal human beings, and you have this.
Yeah.
So it changes your personality. Outside, it is much easier to do it. I would say, arguably, right? My cousin lives near London. He works in London, lives near London. I've said this before on the platform. He says, boss, I also travel 1 hour one way. Okay, I travel from outside of London to London, main area. He's like, कि bro, मेरा 1 घंटा तेरा 1 घंटा बहुत अलग है. ठीक है.
Agreed. 100%.
मैं मैं लंदन ट्यूब
Hmm.
लंदन ट्यूब द अंडरग्राउंड
Yeah, yeah.
है लाइक मैं उससे जाता है मेरे को है उधर गर्दी होता है बट ये तेरा वाला गर्दी नहीं है उधर
Yeah,
वो
yeah.
ट्रेन में मतलब हीटिंग होता है इंसुलेशन होता है सब होता है
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and it's fine, and there is traffic, no
Yeah.
doubt about it. Like India is not the only place with traffic in the world, but our
Yeah.
traffic is different. Okay, I
Yeah,
keep
yeah.
telling people our traffic is very different.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
saps you not just physically but mentally and emotionally. And by the
Absolutely.
time you come back home, there is no way I'm going to define who I am. There is no
Yeah,
way.
exactly, exactly. And so I'm not judging people people
Yeah,
watching this would be like, yeah, you can just sit and say it. I get
I
it.
know.
I've been there. It's exhausting. I used to come back home and my mom used to literally get the plate of food to me. I used to eat it and then she used to take it because she was like, "Bachari, meri bachchi itni travel karke aa rahi hai." So I get it. But it's also time to change now. Thoda thoda you have to put in that effort now. It has to come from you. If you need to want that change enough to put in that effort.
100%.
Yeah,
I get where you're coming from, and luckily it's happening now because people, okay, Instagram has a lot of bad things going on, but there
yeah,
are some good points to Instagram too. I would say is that people are like, yaar, ye dekho ye kaise hike pe ja rahe hain. And
yeah.
they see that others, oh, look at this person, they are making something out of clay, they're doing
Yeah,
something. Why can't I
yeah,
also do something?
yeah.
So that is a positive demonstration effect that is happening, and I think we are going in the right direction. But things will only improve after we get financially more secure as a country. And
Yes.
because these are kind of, in a way, relatively speaking, luxury beliefs. If you are not starving, okay, you
Yeah,
can then
yeah.
think about all these things, right? And
Correct,
that is
correct.
the unfortunate truth. That is the
Hmm.
unfortunate truth.
Yeah,
So
I agree with you that as a country, of course, we are still developing. We are still a poor country, but I am talking about people of our kind of
yeah,
economic status and people
yeah,
who are,
and privilege.
yeah, like middle class but privileged. Like these people
Yeah,
can. You still have that ability to, you still have that cushion. Like my dad didn't have a cushion in the sense that he couldn't go back to my grandfather, but my mom could just call him and be like, yeah, come home, no, not a big thing. So if you have that privilege, then use it na. Why would you not
yeah,
use it? Why would you want to be like, no, मुझे खुद ही सब कुछ करना है? This belief also, I'm like, there's a reason why you're privileged, right? There's a reason why you're privileged. It allows you to go to the next level. Have you heard of Maslow's pyramid?
yeah.
I know you.
Maslow's need hierarchy. Yeah.
हाँ,
Uh,
तो उस you are you aware of that pyramid? I'm sure
yeah,
you've
of
seen
course,
it. हाँ,
self-actualization at the end. Yeah.
या करेक्ट करेक्ट तो उसका जो फर्स्ट बेसिस होता है वो यही होता है यू वांट फूड वाटर शेल्टर देन सेकंड यू वांट एम्प्लॉयमेंट हाउस सो एंड सो द थिंग इज दैट विद एवरी generation now we are getting done with that one level of that pyramid. So with my I can say with my parents, like they have secured a house and all of that. Now it's my chance to take it up. Why would I not do that? Why would I still want to stay in that same level as them and still, fight for roti kapda makan? वो तो उन्होंने कर लिया ना. As
Yeah.
as a lineage, we are supposed to go one step up, and my parents have done their job. Now it's my
Yeah.
turn to take it ahead. Why do I still want to stay in that rut? Why
Yeah.
are we? I mean, I get it. It's not easy because that's what our parents told us all their life that हमें भी job करके वही करना है. But अभी awareness है ना, अभी understanding है ना कि वो कर लिया है. अब कुछ
कर
अलग
लिया.
करते हैं. Yeah,
Yeah.
use the privilege, use the stepping stone that they have created to go beyond, go up on that pyramid. Why not?
Yeah.
मुझे तो
What
बिल्कुल
you are
शर्म
saying,
नहीं है.
I know, I was just going to say
Yeah,
this. Like, कि I
yeah,
love the fact that you're so open and upfront about it because this is what I also believe. I'm like, मैं क्यों माताफोड़ी करूँ? Like, I have done enough माताफोड़ी in my life, right? Like, you have,
yeah,
like everyone. But
yeah,
after a point, I'm like, okay, there is no glory in just hurting yourself. I think we are a culture
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
fetishizes hard work. We
Too
have drawn
much.
it from too much.
Hmm.
We have made a virtue out of a necessity. I get it. Like sometimes it's like Mr. Murthy saying कि 70 घंटा काम करो. Sometimes someone else is saying 90 घंटा काम करो. And then we have to do it, right? Because भाई ये तो chances तो है नहीं, opportunity है नहीं, करो मेहनत करो
हाँ,
भाई, just do
हाँ,
it.
हाँ, हाँ.
And now it's like कि no, now some of us who are so lucky and privileged, it's like कि we have a choice. Lucky. We have
Yeah,
a choice that यार मेरे को नहीं जाने का, ऐसा कूदने का नहीं है मेरे को हमेशा वॉल्केनो में रोज सुबह उठ के. I want to enjoy my life here. And I
yeah.
think people really understood this during the lockdowns, I would say. Really, at
Yep.
least it worked in my favor. I mean, the lockdown was overall a horrible experience, but considering my personality, but
Hmm.
but I would say, but I would say that it really helped me with one thing, where it was like कि हाँ, मतलब I now know what I want, but I definitely know what I don't want. Which takes
Exactly.
me to my next point, next question. Like most people are like, ये सब बोल तो रहे हो. How do
Hmm.
I understand,
Hmm.
what I, should have or should what I want,
Yeah.
I don't want.
Yeah. Yeah, I think most of us know what we don't want. Just say I told you that when I quit my job and I moved back, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know that this is the path that I was going to take. I knew what I didn't want to do. And that conviction to not do it was enough for me to move out of that space. If you want to understand what you want to do in life, now, Abhi, I can't say for everybody, that they'll find a different career away from what they're doing right now. But
Hmm.
in general, now in life, I think you can start identifying things as energizers and as depleters.
Mhm.
ठीक है? What activities energize you and what
हाँ,
activities deplete you. It's as
fair.
simple as that. The
Okay.
more you start eliminating things that deplete you, and the more you start doing things that energize you, you'll figure out who you are, what you're meant to do. बहुत सिंपल है, ठीक है? And it's different for different people. For an extrovert, meeting people is energizing. For an introvert, meeting people is depleting. Okay, so it's different for different people. It's there's no uniformity in that. But start identifying what things energize you. किस चीज को करने में energy बढ़ती है, you feel happiness, you feel like, oh, I want to do this again. You have to first get in touch with yourself a little bit and
Hmm.
start becoming a little more aware of your feelings, and then start identifying it, the things that I like to do and the things that I don't like to do and the things that I'm just doing. Just say doom
Yeah.
scrolling, or like you said, going out for drinks or just watching Netflix. These things, they may not energize you, they may not deplete you, you're just doing them. Just start
Hmm.
identifying these things in your life. छोटी छोटी चीजें. I like cleaning, it energizes me.
Hmm.
It's small. It doesn't have to be like I have to go for like a trek to energize myself. It can be small things, but find those small things that energize you and eliminate things that deplete you. स्मॉल स्मॉल थिंग, जैसे 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 मुझे कपड़े फोल्ड करना पसंद नहीं है, पता नहीं क्यों. इट्स अ वेरी स्मॉल थिंग, राइट? सो आई जस्ट लाइक, I'll tell my mom to do it. Like, this part I
Yeah.
don't like doing. Can you do it? Or you can ask your partner to do it, or you can ask whoever you're staying with to do it, or you can pay a little bit to your house help and get it done. The things that deplete you, उसको eliminate करते जाओ धीरे धीरे धीरे. कोई मेडल नहीं मिलने वाला है तुम्हें उसको करने से.
Yeah.
ये जो हमने बनाया हुआ है कि ओ लाइक आई एम सो आई हैव टू, एंड अ लॉट ऑफ लाइक यू आर प्रूविंग इट टू योरसेल्फ, यू आर नॉट प्रूविंग इट टू एनीबडी एल्स, एंड आई हैव बीन दैट पर्सन. I
Yeah.
myself have been that person who's trying to prove to myself that I can do everything on my own, and I am like so strong and hardworking, and like I'm perfect. कुछ नहीं होने वाला उससे. So I
Yeah.
think very simply, yeah. First, sit with yourself. I mean, sit with yourself is also. I feel like saying all these things also, people don't have the energy to do it, but you have to do it. You have to like get in touch with yourself enough to realize that these things, इससे मेरी energy कम होती है, इससे मैं थोड़ी ज़्यादा दुखी होती हूँ, इससे मैं थोड़ी ज़्यादा irritated होती हूँ, मुझे करना पसंद नहीं है, और ये सब चीज़ें जो मुझे करना पसंद है, छोटी छोटी चीज़ें भी. Start with that, and you'll start figuring out who you are, and what makes you happy and what you're meant to do. Yeah, and start chasing joy. मैं तो वही करती हूँ. I
It's,
started to chase
wow.
joy.
That is
Yeah.
such a very strong statement, like, I mean, and I completely agree with you, right? Just 2 seconds, because this is such a beautiful statement. I think it deserves its own ticker. So unless you're a dude named Joy, you're safe. So, uh,
I am not chasing that joy.
no, so anyway, so here's the point, right? You're absolutely right. Most people, in India especially, I've seen this. We have a martyr complex. Ki Shahid,
Hmm.
Shahid, look how much I'm suffering. It's
Correct.
considered a badge of honor.
Yeah.
Overworking,
Yeah.
sacrificing unnecessarily. अरे
Hmm.
देखो कितना खून बहा रहा है, किसके लिए? किसी के लिए
Yeah.
नहीं. It's
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
incredibly performative, and it
Yeah.
beats. And see, we're an emotional culture. Okay, let's start with that. We're a very
Yeah. Yeah.
emotional culture where
Hmm.
everything more or less is based on emotion. Okay, of course we are very analytical where we need to be, but there is a
Yeah.
huge veneer, very strong veneer of emotion in everything we do. So
Correct.
it becomes a matter of pride that you are sacrificing or going above and beyond in life, right? Which
Yeah.
is not necessary, because people often forget that there is a real cost to doing things, right?
Yeah.
Like as you said, even something as small and stupid as folding clothes, right? Like I
Hmm.
am someone whose job in the house is folding clothes. Okay,
हाँ.
बट वो ऐसा वो उधर से वो जो हैंग हो रहा है वहां से लेके आने का, दैट आई हेट. आई एम द ऑपोजिट, राइट? सो
Yeah.
आई टेल
Yeah.
माय वाइफ लाइक तू ये कर, मैं
हाँ.
फोल्ड
हाँ.
करेगा, वो मेरा काम है.
Exactly. Correct.
That is my job. I
Hmm.
will do the dishes whenever we
Hmm.
have to, but hell will freeze over, but I'll not do pocha. मुझसे नहीं होता. Like I hate it. I
Yeah.
must have done pocha like twice in the last 7 years. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But मैं ऐसा
Hmm.
भारी मतलब I'll do the dishes and all. So choose
Yeah.
such small things. I know this sounds so stupid. These people must be like, क्या बात करे? Like, no, it matters,
It
because you
matters.
have finite amount of hours in a day, in a week.
Yeah.
And as you grow older, you realize it even more, right?
Yeah.
And there are more places in which life will try to stretch you. And if you are
Yeah.
not your best version, I would say you become a not so good person to people around you. That's
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
also genuinely believe. You
Yeah.
owe
Yeah.
it to yourself and people around you to be your own best version. And which is why I also like when my wife and I, we spend a lot of time together. But then after a point of time, we are like, okay, you do your thing, I'll do my thing. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, because we deserve our own space, right? And I think nowadays people are getting their own space in life in India.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
can actually sit and think about, okay, I
Hmm.
like this or I don't like this. I think it never existed. I don't think my father must have spent even half a second in his life to think about
Yeah.
these things.
Yeah. Yeah. And not because, I think because his life was, मैंने बोला ना, he was on that second tier of the pyramid.
Ah,
So he
yes.
had to make that choice. You can't even blame him कि आपने क्यों नहीं बैठ के सोचा, क्योंकि उनके लाइफ में और सब चीजें थी. He had different priorities, and he was probably not that privileged to be like ये मुझे पसंद नहीं है जॉब तो मैं छोड़ देता हूँ. No, मेरे पास दो बच्चे हैं, एक बीवी है संभालने के लिए, और maybe old parents or whatever. He had that, and he didn't have that opportunity to sit. But if we do, then why not? Yeah.
100%. That is a beautiful point, right? Like we should
Yeah.
acknowledge our privilege and make use of it because that helps
Yeah.
everyone around us also. That helps
Absolutely.
everyone around us.
Yeah,
And there is
absolutely.
there
मुझे
is
तो समझ नहीं
no
आता है
point.
कि, yeah, मुझे तो
Yeah, you were
नेपोटिज्म का
saying.
डिबेट ही इतना स्टूपिड लगता है. मेरे को लगता है दैट इज सो स्टूपिड. लाइक of course like it doesn't, I mean, it doesn't have to be in movies because we focus on movies too much. Like it's everywhere, yeah. But I think it's just a silly debate. Like it's silly. It's you're telling people that you're privileged, so don't use that privilege. Why?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. At least in my eyes, I think that if my dad had the opportunity to give me a step up, I would take it. I mean, he's still like he is giving me that space to step up, right? So
So I get where you're coming from. I'll tell you the difference between my belief at least. कि nepotism का क्या है? See, the challenge is now people are okay with nepotism in business because you can choose not to work for a business house. Okay. But
correct.
वो
Yeah.
बॉलीवुड का क्या है ना पिछला 25 साल से same people are reproducing and the same
Yeah.
people are marrying each other and it has
Yeah.
become so unfortunately incestuous and we don't have any other option, right? कि बार बार उसी
Yeah.
का movie देखना पड़ रहा है तेरे को. And this is what's happening
Yeah.
now the industry is actually going down in a lot of ways, so people really
Yeah.
dislike that. And also I think in the last 5 years what has happened is there has been a lot of acceptance from people where they realize कि यार ये सब तो ठीक है, सबसे बेस्ट चीज वो होती है जब खानदानी पैसा हो, right? And the definition of khandani paisa is that not everyone is going to have it, right? And it is then translating to nepotism. Oh, your father has money, your parents have money, उसीलिए you have this lifestyle. And I
Yeah.
always have this thing कि अच्छी बात है, as long as you're not rubbing my nose into it, or
Yeah.
vice versa, I'm not rubbing your nose into it. तेरे को क्या है?
Yeah.
Don't.
Yeah.
I think India should become. Firstly, we have a weird relationship with money. We want it, but we are scared of it also.
Oh,
I don't know.
yeah. No, I can go on and on about it. Absolutely.
Please do.
We have a very like too much money is not good, and money makes you evil and all of that, and I'm just like, that's stupid. I actually want to give you an example of how I look at money, and it's a little bit religious. So if take it or leave it. Actually working with a client, and I was telling her in Indian culture, money is Lakshmi, right? So it's a goddess. We never be like we don't want a lot of Saraswati. नहीं हमें knowledge नहीं चाहिए. We are okay with knowledge. We're okay with Saraswati coming into our life. But Lakshmi में it's a goddess, right? I mean, I think of it as a goddess to get everything in life. But yeah, money, it's Lakshmi, right? हम पूछते हैं ना, हम दिवाली के पहले हमें लक्ष्मी चाहिए हमारे घर में आए. तो इसमें दिक्कत क्या है अगर बहुत सारी आ गई तो? Like, why is it that um, we villainize money when it is just a form of abundance and just a form of blessings and prosperity and a form of goddess? I think the moment I started to look at money like Lakshmi, I'm like, सही है, मुझे तो चाहिए.
I know, right?
सरस्वती
See,
भी चाहिए,
I
लक्ष्मी भी
would say,
चाहिए, right?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't think there is any Hindu household, at least, which doesn't have goddess Lakshmi. in their
Yeah.
in their home, right? Like it has to be
Mm-hmm.
their our biggest festival. May we celebrate Lakshmi. So I
Yeah.
get where you're coming from. And our culture is very similar to the Chinese culture, right? They also love money quite a lot because both China and India, like both these civilizations were merchant civilizations, right? Like seafaring
Okay.
civilizations, and they were like business
Mm-hmm.
karenge, trades karenge. So paisa was always there in these two countries, except for the last 200 years, right?
Yeah.
If you cut out the last 200 years, we have been rich for thousands of years. So,
Correct.
so that is why it's natural money being a big part of our culture. But I think in the last 100, 200 years, now very few people had money. So they had to
Yeah.
villainize it. Oh, it's
Yeah.
not your
Probably.
fault. You don't have
Yeah.
it. It is money is the problem. Actually, I mean, I remember talking to one rickshaw because those are the kind of stupid things I do. And I'm like, कि, "अरे भैया कैसे हो? क्या चल रहा है?" I'm
Yeah.
bored. He's bored. It's a half an hour journey, and
Yeah.
he's like,
Yeah.
he was saying, कि I am God made me poor. I was like, oh wow, why
Oh
would you
wow.
say that?
Okay.
Why would you say that? Like, that's crazy, We are in Chembur. Why would you say that? You could have said anything else. कि ये लोग कोहली ऐसा है, धोनी वैसा है. Why are you going so deep, man? He's
Yeah.
like, no, I'll explain it to you. I'm like, go on, please, by all means. He's like, कि, नहीं, see, because if I was rich, God knew I would do wrong things. This is why
Okay.
God made me poor. And
Okay.
this is a good thing because there is
Uh,
something in me which even I don't recognize, which would be a net negative for me and people
mm-hmm.
around me, if I was
Mm-hmm.
a rich man. So I'm happy being poor because that's how God wants me. And I was like, bro, this is from a rickshaw conversation from 2018. Can you believe it?
But you know what? I actually believe it. That no, it's actually true that maybe if he would have been rich, he would not have become the good person even now. Whatever good person means, huh?
Yeah,
Because I'll tell you
yeah,
what, I was watching this interview of Paman Irani and he said something so beautiful. He said that money doesn't make you bad, it just magnifies who you are.
yes, absolutely.
Right, so that and so that's right, he probably is not a whatever good means, huh? Good bad is they're all like,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
whatever
yeah.
he meant by it, that probably if he had money he would be in a much better place right now, and money has got nothing to do with it. Pawan Irani said it so well, and I was thinking about it that it's true. All it does is it enhances who you are. If you're a kind person now, you will be kind and you will be able to spread that kindness when you have more money. And if you're not kind now, then that's how you're going to be. So money doesn't. There's no good and bad in money. All it does is it magnifies who you really are.
Completely agree. I
Yeah,
100%
yeah,
agree with you.
yeah,
And I think having a good relationship with money and yourself is extremely important, right? And
yeah,
which
yeah, yeah.
takes me, which takes me to my next point, right? You mentioned like there was a client you were speaking with, and you had this conversation about like Saraswati and Lakshmi and our understanding of them and expectations.
Hmm.
So you do offer these sessions essentially. Tell me
Yeah,
more about it.
yeah.
Like, how did you start? What do you discuss? What are the most common problems without naming, destroying everyone's privacy? So just
Yeah, yeah,
tell me about
yeah,
it.
yeah. Actually, the thing is that the crux of all your problems is self-worth. That's how I see life. Okay, so anything that is externally troubling you. It could be in your relationships, it could be with money, it could be with your job, it could be um, in any aspect. It is a reflection of how you see yourself. Okay, so I'll give you an example of what basically self-worth means. Okay, so if I tell you that sort of whatever job you're doing right now, for that I'm going to give you like you have to do the same amount of work and you have to deliver the same amount, but I'm going to pay you only like 20,000 for it per month. What will you say?
Yeah, I'll lose my mind. I'll be like, what the hell
Yeah,
is wrong with you? Is this a bad joke?
yeah. Okay, but why would you say no to that money?
No, because I know this is how much I'm earning right now, and I know for a fact मैंने थोड़ा हाथ पाँव मारा तो और मिलेगा. Like you are putting me
Okay,
down by
yeah,
multitude percentages. You're undervaluing me, which is blatantly
correct.
undervaluing.
Correct.
So
If I can paraphrase it for you, is it that you mean that for the work that I do, for the work that you do, you deserve more?
one could say that about everything,
Yeah.
but no, more or less, yeah,
Yeah.
10, twenty
Or
percent
you can say that for the work that you. So I'm saying that for the work that you do, I'm offering you 20,000. You're saying that no, I'm worth more than 20,000. That's
way
what you're
more.
saying, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm sure way more. I'm just this is an example, right? So you'll
Yeah.
probably say no to the job. Yeah, because you think that your worth is more. So you define your worth and you define how much you accept and how much you don't. And that can be in with respect to money, and or that can be with respect to relationships. So if someone's treating you bad, it could be your manager or it could be your partner or your boyfriend or whatever, and they're disrespecting you, and you're accepting it again and again. It's not that they are mistreating you, it's that you're accepting that because you think that's your worth. So that is what self worth is. So any issue that you're having in your external life is a reflection of how worthy you think you are. It's as simple as that, right? So if someone's disrespecting me, I'm just like, I'm not okay with that. So we can't be friends or we can't be whatever. I'm not interested in talking to you because I don't accept this kind of like talk, because
Yeah.
I think that I'm worth more, because that's how I see my worth, right? So in a
Yeah.
lot of relationships that we are seeing right now, toxic, not toxic, I don't like that term at all. People are in a lot of like these relationships and they want to blame the other person and they want to be like, oh, this person was toxic. It's whatever you're accepting. It basically is a reflection of your relationship with yourself, how you see yourself, how worthy do you see yourself as. And so these conversations that I have with my clients, they vary. They vary. They can be with someone, having difficulty setting boundaries, being people pleasers. So all of these, the things that I'm counting, these are all like reflections of you not thinking you're worth. A people pleaser doesn't think that who they are essentially, authentically, is not worth probably being loved or accepted, which is why they need to people please to be accepted. So that's how you see your worth is. Your worth is that as who I am not worthy of this friendship, which is why I have to change. So people pleasing, perfectionism is also one of those people who try to be too perfect and work too hard. Who are you trying to prove it to? You think that unless you are not perfect, you will not be accepted. Your mistakes were not accepted. I mean, I can go into the psychology of it, but overall, just like your mistakes were not accepted in the past, which is why you had to be a perfectionist, and now you strive for that. But it comes from a place of low self worth, where you feel like if I make a mistake, I'm not worthy of this friendship or this love or this adoration or whatever, right? So it's coming from a place of you having a relationship with yourself, saying, "जब तक मैं perfect नहीं हूँ, तब तक मैं worthy नहीं हूँ."
Yeah.
So it's any of these things. So it can be again with money. Like I said, you will say no to a 20,000 job, but someone will say yes for the same work because they think, and that happens a lot with women and men. A lot with women and men. Women are ready to settle for a lot less money for the same job versus a man. Because हमें यही
Yes.
मतलब हमें बोला गया है, या हमें कभी we've not been taught to like stand up for ourselves, or we are little timid. um, could be many things. So yeah, self worth is basically, um, anything that you're struggling with in your outside world is a reflection of your relationship with your inner world and how you see yourself, as within so without, very simply put. And so it can be any problem, um, and I help them kind of discover what how they see themselves and how they can like take small steps to change, because this is not an overnight thing. It's not going to happen
Yeah.
overnight. You're not going to snap your fingers and be like, no, from now I'm going to say no and I'm going to set boundaries.
Right.
It takes time.
Yeah.
It's healing is not linear. So it's all of these conversations, recognizing your patterns, figuring out what you can do to make these changes, being compassionate with your own self on this journey, not being so hard on yourself. The fact that my clients are there having these conversations with me, I tell them that that's the first step to you recognizing that you're worth more, that you're spending this time and energy to make these changes in your lives. So yeah, topics can be just anything, but I bring it all down to self-worth. Like that's how I see it. Yeah, I bring it down to self-worth. I mean, there are different approaches, but I bring it down to that, because मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि once you start recognizing now everything as self-worth, then you're not just fixing one problem, you're fixing everything. So
Yes.
if yeah, so if someone is struggling with say money, and tell them how to kind of fix that and see themselves as worthy of it, they'll start doing that in every aspect of their life. So I think it's the root of everything. So I bring it down to self-worth, and then we have like different tools and conversations and change of perspectives and how you can look, like I told you, with money, a lot of people like if they listen to this and they find it interesting, they can start looking at money as Lakshmi, right? So it's changing your perspective. Yeah, it's changing your perspective so that you don't think of it as evil, and you don't think of it as, I can't ask for more, because you will. I think it's crazy as the country that we are in. हमको पढ़ाई के लिए इतना बोला जाता है. We are so receptive of Saraswati कि हमें दो education दो, हमें degrees दो, but Lakshmi के लिए नहीं. So just having these conversations and trying to tell them to look at things from a different perspective, slowly and steadily, and then just become the most authentic version of yourself. That's it.
That's
Yeah.
a beautiful statement, Kriti. I wish I knew this 10 years ago. What you just
Yeah.
said, because I completely agree with you. I'm not saying this because you are on the show, but I'm saying this because I went through this myself, right?
Yeah.
And when I went to therapy, I remember I was like, okay, I need to solve this issue I'm facing in life. I need to solve this, and then turns out like I had a very good therapist, and she was like, "Hey, dude, तू है ना पहले अंदर देख, as you said, what is within so is without, right? So this is like तू तू पहले अपने आप के साथ पहले खुश रह, फिर तू बाहर जा, पहले अपना घर साफ कर,
Yeah.
फिर स्वच्छ भारत कर,
Uh,
it's like it's like bro, like be
absolutely.
happy with, and the best thing I have learned, touch wood, like the best thing I've learned in the last decade is being happy with myself. I love being with myself, given a chance,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Given a
Yeah.
chance, I'm like, given an opportunity, I'm like, I can stay with myself. I don't need to escape. I don't need
Yeah.
to keep on my phone. I don't need to get
Absolutely.
drunk unnecessarily. I will get drunk, but because I want to, not because I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Escaping.
oh my God, escaping. No, because I actually like the taste of this bourbon, and then
Yeah.
I'm not going to be like, okay, let me just go and exercise for no reason. I do things now with a lot of weight in the sense that there's a thought behind it. कि ये मुझे करना है because and
Hmm.
also because I know who I am now, and it takes a lot of time. People don't spend time thinking and asking and answering. कि who are
Yeah.
you? Who am I? What do you
Yeah.
really like? What do you really
Yeah.
dislike? We are going back to the first
Hmm.
question, right? And more importantly, like then, what is your self worth? And I personally, in my previous relationships, like I don't
Hmm.
think that part was sorted out. And when that part is not sorted out, you will be taken advantage of. You will do things which are not good for you or the other person or overall, right?
Yeah.
And as you said, it translates across. It translates to your friendships, your relationship with your parents, at work, 100%.
Yeah.
And then once you realize that your definition of who you are is within you and not with someone else, then life
Yeah.
gets a lot better. It gets a lot
Yeah.
better. At least it did for me. So, but that's
Absolutely.
that's what I.
Yeah. Yeah. The power is in your hands. Stop giving other people power. Like it's as simple as that. हमने बहुत ज़्यादा externalize कर लिया है. हमने बहुत ज़्यादा, even the thing, right, that we try to work hard too much. We are not doing it for ourselves. We are doing it for others because we've given the ability to validate us. Like we've given that power to others that they will validate कि हाँ ये कितना अच्छा ज़्यादा काम कर रहा है. मुझे
Yeah,
I'm not in the hustle culture at all. I
yeah.
don't need other people's validation, right? I mean, yeah, I think it's just get that power back. Just because you have that, the power to change who you are and your external world, it's all in your hands. All you have to do is just like fix the stuff within.
Yeah, I mean, but
Yeah.
one caveat I would add,
Mhm.
while that's a great point, it will require some sacrifice. Like once you
Yeah.
find out who you are and what you
Huh.
like or don't like, have the honesty to follow through with it. You
But I
can't
don't
just
see that as, sorry,
okay,
but Saurabh, I don't see that as sacrifice. It's not sacrifice. It's not sacrifice, it's love. When you're doing something for yourself, it's love, it's not sacrifice.
yeah,
I get what you're saying. I'm just saying change the terminology a little bit. Start looking at it a little differently. The moment you start looking at it as sacrifice, you think that you're letting go of something that you really want.
yeah.
The moment you start thinking it as an expression of love for yourself, it's not going to be that heavy. Then you're doing it for yourself, and that's worth it. Then saying that no or having those difficult conversations, it becomes easy because you're looking at it as an expression of love. So sorry to cut you.
Completely get it. No, no, you're absolutely
Yeah.
right. What I
Yeah.
probably wanted to say better was that you have to let go of those things which are not good for you then. Correct. Like कि okay,
Absolutely.
तेरे को पता चल गया ना कि तेरे को नहीं काम करने का 18 घंटा. Dude, I know
Uh,
friends who love working 18 hours a day. I'm happy for them. कि तू कर bro,
yeah.
तू कर, तू इनफैक्ट तू
Yeah.
अगर नहीं किया तू पागल हो जाएगा, तेरे बाजू वाले को पागल करेगा. And there are people like
Correct.
that, right? Like, not
Yeah.
everyone likes to work for 6 hours. There are people who love 18 hours. I'm not one of
Yeah.
them. I'm like, यार मेरे को
Me
10-12
neither.
घंटा is fine. Like बीच वाला मेरे को fine. I'm a little passionate about my domain,
10-12
so cool.
also I'm like ज़्यादा है.
I'll come to that. That I think is a India thing also. Plus, it's a me thing also. I'll come to that
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
so see, here's the thing. Many people then when they realize, okay, this is not how I should be treated, or this is not how this is not you know what I should settle for. But you still go back
Mm.
to that old life. You are betraying yourself. Is the way I would put
Yeah.
it. I know strong terminology, but
Yeah.
I think because maybe that works with me. Yeah, and then that's what I feel. Otherwise, what's the point of all that self-reflection? You will just be in a limbo. You'll just be
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
limbo. That's what I feel. That's one part of it.
Yeah. Self-reflection without action is it's like you're just like lying to yourself. Self-reflection without action, let me put it in a different term. Um, it's like you giving your advice to your friend and then they're not going to follow through. Like it's irritating, right? It's like तो
Oh
फिर क्यों मेरा
God,
दिमाग खाया इतना इतना दिमाग क्यों
I
खाया
know.
मेरा अगर कुछ करना नहीं था उसके बारे में, right? Yeah, self
I know.
reflection without action is useless. It's like, why did you spend so much of time doing it when you're not going to follow through? Like it's not going to lead to anything. पता है थोड़े थोड़े टाइम के बाद ना, sometime in the beginning it's a little tough, then you start having fun. And when you start standing up for yourself, I'm telling you, it's beautiful. When you start standing up for yourself, now you feel so proud of yourself. मजा आने लगता है.
Yeah,
You just start liking yourself so much because you're doing things for yourself because it gives you happiness. Starting with difficult hota hai because you've not done it for like 30 odd years or I don't know how many years. So it's a little difficult, but when you start doing it one step at a time, one step at a time, you start loving yourself so much for respecting yourself and then showing it through your actions. And
yeah.
people start
That's a
respecting you too. People start respecting you too, which is, again, it doesn't matter if they respect you or not, but I'm just saying that it gets reflected. As within, so without, the moment you start respecting yourself and showing it in your actions, the world will start respecting you.
100%, 100%.
Yeah.
It's extremely important that you respect yourself. Only then will the world respect you, right? And just be
Yeah.
happy with yourself. I think life is much better when you're just happy with yourself. At least that's been
Yeah.
my experience. So,
Yeah.
moving on to the next topic, like our generation is sandwiched between our parents' generation, which have their own journey and their own issues. By the way, I have a lot of
Yeah.
sympathy for them. By the way, I have a lot of sympathy for
Yeah.
them because the world changed so fast and continues to change while they're alive. I don't think any generation has seen what they have seen, not even us, right? Their
Yeah.
perspective is absolutely incredible. Although they have been beneficiaries of the tech revolution, which they really dislike, but they won't accept it. But
Yeah.
if you see, our generation is sandwiched between them, and then there are those Gen Z folks who have
Hmm.
actually who are much more self assured than we are, right?
Yeah.
Because they actually got the time to sit and think, okay, who am I, and
Correct.
what do I like and what will I not put up with? And many people
Correct.
clown them for it. I don't. I think that's absolutely important. I am really proud of the younger people in our country now. जो मुझसे 10 साल छोटे हैं, I would say he was in the 20s and all. But like कि हाँ मेरे को यही करने का, ये नहीं करने का है. Now I don't know if they'll
Hmm.
succeed or not with it, but at least I like that
Correct.
attitude. They
Yeah.
won't take crap the way I did. I don't know
Yeah.
if the crap you took, but I took a lot of crap because I was brainwashed कि अरे नहीं मतलब हर हाल में पाना है, that like fucking Lakshya soundtrack. Like bro, you work in Chandivli, like relax.
Uh,
Like
yeah.
it's not even Kandivli, it's not even Powai. You'll work in fucking Andheri East. Don't take
Yeah.
yourself so seriously. It is not
Yeah.
important. And so
Yeah.
whole long-winded thing, what are the biggest challenges faced by the people who you talk to the most? I would bet it's related, it's relationship related, more or less, and
Yeah.
shadi related. This is the holy trinity of Indians being sad about.
What was the first thing you said? What is it related to what?
Work,
Before
work,
relationships? Work. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
work,
yeah.
relationship, shadi. Like
Huh. Yeah. Yeah, work. I don't do a lot of like work conversations. Because again it's life, it's more personal. तो मैं work के बारे में बोल नहीं सकती as a coach, but as a friend मैं बोल सकती हूँ. Like at the conversations that I have with my friends, I can talk about it. That yeah, we are struggling. They are struggling with kind of work. What do we do? What do we like? We're not enjoying it, but we have to do it. This is what it is. This is the path ahead. We don't know, what else to do. But yeah, relationships. Oh God, a lot of relationships, just a lot of more romantic relationships, less friend relationships, but a lot of like relationship stuff. Um, because people tend to put a lot of responsibility on that particular relationship. That person needs to be our best friend, that person needs to be our mentor, that person needs to be our coach, that person needs to be our cook, that person needs to be, like everything. And if they're not matching it, like they're not up to the mark, then, there's a lot of struggle. Plus, I have to talk about the male female dynamic for sure. The
Hmm.
generation that we grew up in, and the whole like women are now working. Like every friend I know is now working. There's no one female friend who's not working. We are making our own living, and the expectations that we have from our partners. Male partner and the expectation that they have and what they bring to the table, there's a huge mismatch. um, and I think just the struggle in that, it's there's a lot of relationship stuff, and then now a
You
lot of
don't have
like
to hold back. You don't have to hold back, because I genuinely believe, I think the way men expect things out of women
holding
hasn't
back. I
changed
just Yes,
in the
sorry,
last,
sorry.
I would say, last 10, 15 years. The way what men expect out of women has changed, definitely, but not as much as the what women expect out of their men in their lives.
Yeah,
They are
but
like,
I'm actually
इतना मैंने
yeah,
चेंज किया अपने लाइफ में, the world has changed so much for us. तुम वही का वही विंडोज 95 हो. Correct.
yeah.
I've seen that complaint.
But I'm going to tell you this, that I tilt a little more towards sympathizing with men on this.
Oh,
I
what
do.
will you say?
I
Go
do. I
on.
do. I feel I okay. I'm gonna explain this to you in a very like okay. So the way that people like their personalities are formed are based on two factors: nurture and nature. ठीक है?
Okay, बरोबर.
तो हाँ, नेचर इज जो हमारे डीएनए में है, और नर्चर इज जो हमारा कल्चर हमें सिखाता है। ठीक है? अब
Yes.
हमारा जो नेचर है, दैट इज फॉर्म्ड बाय इयर्स, लाइक मिलियंस एंड मिलियंस एंड मिलियंस ऑफ इयर्स का डीएनए बीइंग पास्ड ऑन। ठीक है? तो यू
बरोबर.
कांट डिनाई दैट नेचर इज एज अकॉर्डिंग टू नेचर, एज अ मैन यू आर द प्रोवाइडर एंड द प्रोटेक्टर। ठीक है? वो आप डिनाई नहीं कर सकते। And
Hmm.
and my nature as a female is to nurture and bring that empathy and all of that. ठीक है? This is nature, you can't deny it. और जब मैं बड़ी हो रही थी, तो उसके साथ साथ मुझे प्रोटेक्ट एंड प्रोवाइड का भी मतलब दे हैड टोल्ड मी कि प्रोटेक्ट और प्रोवाइड भी करना है तुम्हें ही। आई हैव टू प्रोवाइड फॉर माई सेल्फ, आई हैव टू प्रोवाइड फॉर द फैमिली।
Hmm.
ठीक है? तो अब मेरा नर्चर और नेचर इंक्लूड एवरीथिंग। बट
Hmm.
लड़कों का नहीं था यार। लड़कों को नहीं, कि नेचर में नहीं सिखाया गया उनको कि यू ऑल्सो हैव टू बी एम्पथेटिक एंड यू ऑल्सो हैव टू बी nurturing, and you also have to get that emotional intelligence. उनको नहीं सिखाया गया। They were still the men that I am talking about, the millennials, they were still told you can't cry। ठीक
No,
है? तो
I'm
अभी वो
still told I can't cry. Like, I mean,
I'm
not by
Saurabh, you can
not by
cry,
my people.
no?
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, I do.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
I
yeah,
do
yeah,
every time I watch a Nepo Bollywood movie, I cry that I've lost money. But sorry. No, but on a serious note, like, I'm lucky that, I have people in my life who are like, okay, I can express my emotions. But I know a lot of men, you correctly pointed out, like, ki, hey, rone ka nahi. Okay. Especially in office and all, you have to be very careful, what emotions you showcase. You have to be the tough guy everywhere. So I get what you mean. I understand what you
yeah. So men only had like उनका the nature of provide and protect वो solid है, but वो nurture वाला part उनको कभी सिखाया नहीं गया, दिखाया नहीं गया। But there will be a few small percentage होगा ऐसा, but it's not prevalent. It wasn't prevalent, at least for a lot of people. लड़कियों का nature was what it is and you can't deny it, and then nurture हमें किया गया था कि काम तो करना ही है। ठीक है? नाउ योर वी आर +2। ठीक है? लड़कियां +2 बिकॉज हमें दो ही चीजें दिखाई दी गई, और लड़के +1 ही है, क्योंकि उनको दूसरा चीज सिखाया ही नहीं गया। अब आप नहीं कंपेयर कर सकते ना। अब 30 साल जिसने ऐसी ही जिंदगी जी है, उनसे आप नहीं एक्सपेक्ट कर सकते। विच इज वाई आई एम्पथाइज विद मैन, एम्पथाइज नहीं, सिंपथाइज विद मैन, कि यार आई गेट इट, इट्स टफ, बट बी मोर willing to then change, be more willing to change, talk about it. it'll take time, it's not going to be easy, but be willing to change. Don't be like ab to yahi maine seekha hai, ab I'm not going to change.
Yeah.
So there's a huge mismatch between the expectations and what women bring to the table and what men bring to the table. And because men were expected to bring, protect, and provide, and अभी जरूरत नहीं है तो क्या लाएं फिर वो?
What do I bring
There's
to the table?
yeah, what like there's so much of confusion. It's not like women have a lot of clarity about what they are looking for in a man. There isn't enough clarity there as well. तो इतना mismatch हो रहा है between what you expect from men and what men have expectations from women. बहुत it's quite messy out there. So I mean, women, if you're listening to this, please like be a little more empathetic. Be patient and empathetic. Of course, you need to have a partner who's ready to make those changes, but understand that it's not going to happen overnight, and understand that they didn't learn it, and it's not their fault. And
That's
yeah,
a
be patient.
unique perspective. That's a unique
Yeah,
perspective.
I'm
Thanks for that.
yeah, there's this psychologist. I follow him, and I recommend it to all of my male friends. His name is I mean the YouTube handle is Healthy Gamer GG. We heard of him?
Healthy game of GG.
Okay.
I think
Yeah. Great
tips here
guy.
and there.
He's yeah. Alok Kanoj, I think Dr. Alok Kanoj, Indian heritage. Or I think he was always born and brought up in the US, and he has some background in, like, he wanted to become a monk, and he also had some like gaming addictions, and then he became a Harvard trained psychiatrist and all of that. He talks a lot about men's mental health, and I had to watch a lot of his things, and I realized कि यार एक और भी perspective है, और men don't talk about it enough. हाँ, मेरे को तो पता ही नहीं था ना. मैं तो उस वाले generation में हूँ ना. Like I was a man cannot do the things that I can do. It's because he was not taught that. It's because he was not given that space to express. They say that the only emotion that men are allowed to express is anger.
Anger.
Anger को छोड़ के तुमको, there is no other emotion that men are allowed to express except anger. And when they express anger, which is the only way they know how to express, then they're labeled bad. And it's true, because हमने उनको कभी space नहीं दी है to express sadness and, I guess, jealousy, or like any of those emotions. And women have their own issues, men have their own issues. It's not like I'm choosing one over the other. But in this relation, I'm just talking about the fact that men also don't have it easy. And if you want to understand, if as a man you want to understand more and get help, then you should watch that YouTube channel. He's amazing.
That's a beautiful point. I think because I agree with you about the part about rage and anger, because as a former professional angry person, like full time angry individual, I can attest to the fact that it is very common for men to express anger, and some of us abuse that privilege. I would say, but it's nothing. It just hurts you. It just hurts you. It hurts
It
people
does. Yeah.
around you. It really hurts people around you, and you realize it. If you're lucky, you realize it before it's too late. I know some
Yeah.
people in my life who still haven't taken care of their anger. They are in their 50s and 60s, and they don't
Hmm.
know who they become when they are angry. And
Yeah.
so that is, I consider that the lost generation. And where we
Yeah.
are lucky, I would say we are very lucky कि यार at least ये सब knowledge है from people like you, from people like Mr. Alok, and so on and so forth, right? And this is a huge problem in the US also, not just India. People are like, "Yare, India mein men and women."
Oh,
It's way worse in the US. It's way worse in the
absolutely.
US, where they have, like, even they have that whole nature nurture issue, whatever you want to call it. But the thing is, the men have really fallen by the wayside over there, and that is according to their own. At this point, they have all accepted it. Okay, 40% of your college graduates, less than 40% at this point, are men. They're not entering college. They're not working. They are being outcompeted everywhere. That doesn't mean the women are bad. It means the women are straight up outcompeting them. But if you want a
Yeah.
semblance of a functioning society in the long term, you need to ensure the men have some equity in it. Otherwise,
Yeah.
they're going to burn it down. Otherwise, they are, and
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is why then they go after Andrew Tate type of people, okay, who have like extremely bad versions of masculinity, right? It's
Yeah.
a defensive version of it, and I can completely understand where it's coming from. As a former teenager myself, I'm so lucky. There was no Andrew Tate at my time. I was so lucky, because
You would have been a
you
follower,
are
no? Number one.
100%, because susceptible, not number one, but susceptible to be
Number two.
smart enough to not, yeah, smart enough to not open my mouth. Ki, yes, I follow the guy, but
Yeah,
obviously like gullible enough to fall into the trap ki हाँ ये सही बोल रहा है भाई, कि
yeah.
ये एकदम बढ़िया बोल रहा है. And then luckily you are 27, 28. वो होता है ना, वैक्सीनेशन लेने के बाद कुछ नहीं हुआ. वो those
Hmm.
teenager boys are not vaccinated against that kind of ideology, bro. Like
Yeah,
that
yeah,
is insane, and it leads them
yeah,
astray. And as I said, I think you combine it with that whole martyrdom complex in India, where everyone is a shaheed, everyone is a victim. Okay, like, and
yeah.
we love being victims. I've seen it in India. So
It's
it is a
crazy.
thing.
Yeah. Hmm.
It is a thing across. I think it comes from our movies also. It's like Mother India. It's like ki, oh, victim. Like
Yeah,
अरे
yeah.
victimhood हर जगह. I think it's in our culture also, थोड़ा, which I
I
think
think
is
it's
not
in
healthy.
a I think it's in our DNA. Again, not blaming anyone. We were victims for 200 years. Okay, and
More than
this
that.
the memory of yeah, and this the memory of being a victim gets passed on in your DNA. And this is all science. I'm not making this up. Okay, so your traumas and your stresses and all of that, they get passed on. It's not just the diabetic gene that gets passed on. All of this stuff also gets passed on. So if we were victims for so many years, it'll stay in our DNA. But we need to change our narrative right now because we're not anymore, because now we
Yeah,
need to
true.
now we have the opportunity to not be that victim. But again, like I come from a place of empathy
100%.
that यार ये थोड़ा हमारे DNA में है, तो थोड़ा टाइम लगता है चेंज करने में. But there
Yes.
has to be more conversation about it. There has to be more conversation about, like, you can't like keep blaming your circumstances and your parents. वो तो बहुत ही blame होते हैं for your
Yeah.
life. I have like this thing that if after 30 you're still blaming your parents, then it's a you issue, not a them issue. Yeah, like they did whatever they could. You can have to take, I mean, most parents, of course, I'm sure there are some parents who were very extreme, but most parents were good only. They had the best in their heart. I'm sure that they fucked up in their own ways, but you can't like after 30, if you're still blaming them, then it's just your mentality. It's a you problem.
I completely agree with you. And this is from another very, I'm a professional parent complainer, right? Like, I wake up and
are you a are you a recovering one, or are you still one?
no, no, recovering, obviously. Otherwise, I
Okay,
wouldn't.
okay.
I wouldn't have done this, bro. Like, you need to be a happy person to do this. Being very frank,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So,
yeah.
I used to always complain about my parents. Like, you did this because of this. How? And then after a certain age, like, luckily it hit me. Like, I didn't have to go to therapy for this part at least. Where it hit me,
Hmm.
कि कब तक रोएगा भाई? हो गया. मतलब, it's done. At some
Yeah,
point,
yeah,
even if things don't go your way, you have to take responsibility because you're a
yeah,
man
yeah,
and you are supposed to, like, by man I mean an adult, not a boy.
yeah, yeah,
You're 21,
yeah.
22, no one takes you seriously as no one should.
Hmm.
But suddenly you're
Hmm.
25, 26, and it's like, okay, wow, I mean, now this is adult, like this is like ho gaya
Yeah,
bhai.
yeah. I'll give you a scientific reason for that, why like life changes around 25, 26. Okay. So हमारा जो brain है ना, the last bit of our brain that gets formed, which is the prefrontal cortex. Okay. This is the last part of the brain that gets formed, and that gets formed at the age of 25. Okay. And हमारा जो सबसे पहला part of the brain होता है ना, वो ये पीछे वाला part होता है. It's called the technical term I don't know, but reptilian brain बोलते हैं उसको. Basically वो that's the first part that's born, that's created for survival. So those are very
Yeah.
instinctive, they're very like emotion based. Okay, so from the time that you're born till 25, this is the one that's fully formed, और आपका धीरे धीरे prefrontal cortex develop हो रहा होता है. Prefrontal cortex is
Hmm.
the one that focuses more on logic, the one that
Yeah.
focuses more on like your personality. तो 25 तक तो मैं, इसलिए that's why I said 30, because 25 तक तो मैं फ्री पास देती हूँ कि यार तुम्हारा तो दिमाग ही बना नहीं है अभी तक. You've not like
Yeah.
you're really not a fully formed human. You will mostly react based on your emotions and your instincts, and I understand that. But after that, after you're 25, 26, 27, figure out, you get some time to kind of like get used to this new brain of yours, and then you realize that okay, now it's my responsibility. So that is why this switch kind of comes around 26, 27 for most people. मैंने बहुत लोगों से बात की and like at 27 ना कुछ होता है कि like you
Yes.
start questioning your life, you start questioning decisions, start questioning yourself, and that's because finally your brain is fully formed and it can like think logically now. Now it's not so emotion dependent. So yeah, so after that also if you're still relying on your emotions of oh they hurt me or they did this or they did that, matlab, that means that you're not using this new part that has been formed, and you want to focus on being a victim, and you'll just never get out of it if that's how you want to lead your life. So ये scientific थोड़ा explanation है कि 25-26 तक 26 को ऐसा क्या होता है तुम्हारी life में that you start kind of asking some questions and figuring out who you are.
2 points. Firstly, thank you so much. That's a beautiful explanation, right? Very few people can explain the way you did. And second, why wasn't this taught to us in school? This is like this would have really helped me, bro. मतलब
I
कि
know,
ब्रो
I know.
25 के पहले तू थोड़ा-सा पागल जैसा रहेगा, तू फिर उसके बाद थोड़ा ठीक हो जाएगा. I kid you not, I think one day I woke up at the age of 26, 27 and I was like, "You know what? It's not as bad. I think I can, do this, I can do that and I can't do this, I can't do that. It's okay, I'll manage it." You see logic
Yeah,
कि यार थोड़ा
yeah,
ब्रेक डाउन
yeah,
कर प्रॉब्लम को, थोड़ा ऐसा कर. I just didn't
yeah.
have that ability. Maybe if I had the processing power, I definitely didn't have the direction to it. Like कि
Yeah,
वो हो ही नहीं
yeah,
सकता था that it would combine and give me what I wanted. So it's damn crazy. That's a beautiful
yeah, yeah.
explanation. But my point is, why don't they teach us about all these things when we? I'm not saying कि मेरे को 7th में पढ़ाओ, मेरे को 12वीं में तो
हाँ.
पढ़ा कि भाई तेरे को छोड़ रहे खुला छोड़ रहे दुनिया में जाने को, and you're not teaching me shit. Like that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
You think they're going to now start teaching a little bit more about mental health right away in school?
Yeah, I have zero idea if that'll happen. Should they talk about it? Maybe they should, especially a generation that is so surrounded by technology and so much of external influence. हमारी life में तो our life was our parents, probably our extended family, our neighbors, the kids we met at school, and our influence was limited to that, which is why our parents were very particular about the friends that we made because we would get
Yeah.
influenced by it. But now they are growing up in a generation where they have so much of external influence. I hope that it's part of it. I don't know if it will be. I don't think that it will be. But I think now that I'm thinking about it, there should be like some जैसे finishing schools होते थे ना पुराने time में for ladies to like how to be
Yeah.
lady. There should be finishing schools about like how should you invest your money, which I started to invest very late because पता नहीं था कि कितना important होता है. So investing money, how to deal with mental health. Mm, just like how to deal with your emotions, how to sit. Oh my god, if one thing I could teach people would just be like how to sit with your emotions. अब अपने इमोशंस के साथ बैठना सीख जाओ ना, like लाइफ चेंज हो जाती है. So yeah, just
Yes.
I hope there's a finishing school that teaches kids about all of these things. I don't know why we were not fortunate enough to have that, but I think सबकी journey अलग होती है. I'm glad. Like I look back at the tough times in my life with a lot of like gratitude that it taught me so much, and I've reached this point where I feel so at ease. And if I would not have gone through that, I would not have been this person. So I look at it from a very positive perspective. Um yeah, it was fine. हो गया जो हो गया. अब now let's look forward and move ahead. No, again, no victim mentality, no मेरे साथ ऐसा क्यों हुआ and all that. Everything happened for a reason, to teach me something, and it's fine. We can do better next time for the kids around us. Great, but it's also their journey and they have to figure it out on their own.
That's such a beautiful and powerful point, Akriti. I mean, I had expectations out of this episode. I didn't know it would exceed it so much. I'm
Oh,
being very
thank you.
positive. Yeah, honestly. One thing though, I'll talk about. You
Hmm.
mentioned like, hey, past experiences and all. In my case, also, I realized one thing very late. Like, suffering is not a trophy. And struggling is fine. There is no glory in suffering. That's what I keep
Yeah,
telling people. Bro, matlab, there will be inevitably some suffering in your life. That's life. But you don't have to fetishize it. You don't have to relive it
yeah,
again
yeah,
and again. You don't have to
yeah,
seek
yeah,
it out. Don't
yeah,
don't don't do don't watch Rockstar and do Kufaya Ku and you are like, unless I suffer, I won't. Like, also Bollywood is horrible like that way. But
yeah,
so
yeah,
that is I think similar. It shapes you, yes, but don't let suffering get into your veins. Struggle is a part of life. Suffering need not be, unnecessarily at least. So that is one part. My last topic
yeah.
would be we mentioned about, yeah, don't blame your parents. But I personally feel, Akriti, there are some parents in our country who still are a huge part of people's lives, even in their late 30s, mid 30s, early
Yeah.
40s. Like the
Yeah,
influence
yeah,
of
yeah.
parents in our
Absolutely.
culture is incredibly high, and it cannot be translated. Like if I am talking to a person from Latvia, okay, or Estonia,
Hmm.
unko they cannot
Hmm.
like fathom like what is this man talking about? Like what do you mean by your mom is deciding things for you in your late 30s, and which is a very
Yeah.
common thing in our country. So
Yeah.
I would say ki in some cases it does get difficult, and some people feel guilty about the
Absolutely.
fact that they're taking control of their life, which means they're
Yeah.
abandoning the old ways. What do you think about that?
Yeah. Yeah, ek to firstly, I've always been very lucky with my parents. My father's always taught me to be like very individualistic. He's like, what a beautiful man he is. He thinks of kids as they don't come to you, they come through you. So they are just come through you into this world. You're supposed to like teach them whatever you need to teach them and then let them fly. तो बहुत ही मुझे बहुत freedom दी है to do whatever I want to and be whoever I want to be. Um, so that's there. But like the guilt of living your own life, like I said before, you have to start taking power in your own hands. The power of your life has to be in your own hands. I remember having this like vivid um, thought in my head that if I this depends on if you believe in God or not, huh? But because I believe in God, and if I die and I go up and I'm like, why did you give me this life, and why did you give me these parents, and they're controlling my life and all of that, and God will be like, I gave you the opportunity to live your life. You chose to live it by their rules. I never stopped you from living your life according to your the way that you want. I never stopped you from being happy.
Yeah,
I gave you the power to decide how you want to live your life, and you chose to give it to your parents. That's on you. That's not on me. Which is the truth, right? When you go up, when once you're dead and you go, it's only between you and God, and you're going to have that conversation. You're not going to imagine you're like it's 30 छोड़ो तुम मर गए उसके बाद भी तुम अपने माँ बाप के बारे में ही complain करो कि उन्होंने मेरी life, they like you have to start taking back that power, because it's your life. It really is. You have to believe that this is your life. You have this beautiful opportunity to live this human experience, and you can make anything out of it. And you're choosing to give that to someone else. Why?
yeah.
It's your
No,
life.
because
Uh,
I get where you're coming from, but the way we are raised in India, it's like you become one unit. It's like नहीं
yeah, yeah.
मम्मी पापा ने किया होगा उन जो सही सोचा है वही सही सोचा है. So many people have that, and they have that guilt कि oh, if I take my own decisions and disregard my parents' opinions or do something exactly
Hmm.
opposite of what they want, I am
Hmm.
somehow a bad person. And that is the attitude which I believe is really counterproductive.
Yeah. Again, I think because I'm so privileged with my parents, so thoda mera perspective skewed hai because I can easily say that, oh, just take power in your own hands. But the other thing is that you need to understand that living your life on the way that you want to is does not mean that you're disrespecting your parents. हमको पता है क्या लगता है कि हम उनकी बात सुनेंगे तो हम उनको रिस्पेक्ट कर रहे हैं, बट अपने रूम में जाके वील कंप्लेन अबाउट देम, right? So it's time to start changing the definition of respect a little bit in your head. That doing whatever they ask me to do is not respect. It's doing what I want to do, feeling happy, feeling so. Yeah, I truly believe in this that you can't serve anyone from an empty cup. You can only serve if it's coming from a place of overflow. ठीक है? तो जब आप अपने आप को बहुत 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 खुश करते हो ना, when I'm telling you, when you focus on giving yourself happiness and giving yourself love na, then it comes out and you want others to be happy, and then it'll come from a place of like happiness that okay, I want to do these things for my parents because I'm so happy that I want to spread that, versus coming from a place of lack where yaar ye mujhse karwa rahe hain, they're making me do something that I don't want to do. I'll do it because in my eyes that is respect. So first of all, start changing the definition of what respect is, because doing what they are asking you to do is not respect. That is something that we've been taught बचपन से बड़ों की सुनो and all that. And yeah, to till a point of time, till we were teenagers, it made sense, but not anymore. And then the second is second क्या point बोला मैंने? Overflow. second is
Overflow.
second is that, yeah, that make sure that when you start filling your cup, whatever comes out of it will come from a place of overflow, and it'll be genuine, and that will be respect. Like you would actually want to make your parents happy because you're so happy within yourself that you want them to feel that too, and then that will spread. So ये जो मैं चीज़ें बोल रही हूँ ना, they're very simple but they're not easy. So be mindful of
Yes.
that. आसानी से बोल रही हूँ क्योंकि मुझे बहुत सिंपल लगते हैं ये चीज़ें. सिंपल है बट सिंपल और ईजी में फ़र्क होता है. So these are things are simple but they're not easy, but start taking those steps. Start getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, because all these things, these changes that you need to make will require you to break all those patterns. And I'm not talking about, it's like these are like neurological patterns. This is not like some uh, हलवा नहीं है ये. मतलब ये एक्चुअली आपके ब्रेन में एक पैटर्न बन चुका है. These neurons have been connected from years and years of doing the same thing. It'll take time, it'll take effort, it'll take a lot from you to say no to someone. तुम्हारे पूरी बॉडी में वो रिएक्शन आएगा. Like when you're doing something new, you're going to feel it in your body, but get comfortable with feeling uncomfortable, because you know you're doing it for for yourself. um, yeah, and start taking these small steps. And it's not linear. Change is not linear. Sometimes you'll go take 3 steps ahead and 1 step back. It's fine, but just start walking that path. Start doing things that make you happy. Not with making sure that you're not hurting other people. Huh? Yeah, I don't want to be like, oh, I'm
Yes.
doing things to make myself happy. Like, it's coming from a genuine place. It's coming from a place of self-preservation. It's coming from a place of protecting my needs, my boundaries, whatever is healthy for me is coming from that place. But do it. मुझे तो लगता है if everybody starts doing that for themselves, they'll give from a very content place, and then that will spread happiness instead of coming from a place of lack.
No, that is so beautifully well worded, Akriti. I mean, seriously, don't hurt others, but be yourself. Do what you want to do, and that's how you become the best version of yourself, right? And
Yeah.
this
मैं
has
बेस्ट
been such a
वर्जन भी नहीं
lovely.
बोलती. सॉरी, मैं बेस्ट वर्जन भी नहीं बोलती. आई जस्ट थिंक इट्स द मोस्ट ऑथेंटिक वर्जन. बेस्ट तो क्या ही है. Authentic, like the person that you are meant to be that.
Yeah. That's just be yourself. Fantastic. That's a
Be.
great note to finish the episode on, Akriti. I would request you to let everyone know where to follow you,
Okay.
and how to get in touch with you if they want to get in touch with you, and you do offer, your consulting services, and whatever you want to call it, right? Your coaching services, sorry. So
Yeah.
my question would be like, just let everyone know, and I'll put all the descriptions in the chat. I'll put all the details in the description and in the chat, so that it's easy for everyone to follow you.
Yeah, actually, I'll just send you the details and you can post it, because I really don't have
Yeah,
anything like that is clickable at the moment. I'm working on it.
yeah,
Like I
yeah.
said, it's all new, but yeah, I'll let you know. And if anybody finds this conversation helpful, please reach out to me. And I really hope that someone found it helpful. मुझे तो इन सब चीज़ों के बारे में बात करके, like, I really enjoyed. It's my happy place. It's my energizer. I can talk about it for hours and hours.
And we have done that. It's been like almost 1.5 hours. I think this was. Thank you so much. You took out time on a weekday for this, Akriti. This was a lovely conversation. One of the most unique episodes in Polkeball catalog. So thank you so
I had
much.
a lot of
I
fun, Saurabh. Thank you so much.
Nee, thank you for joining. And folks, like, comment, subscribe, and say hi to Akriti wherever we are supposed to. I'll put it in the description. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Akriti. See ya.
Bye.